Hello, this is Drift to Dream channel. I tell stories so that your night may be calm and your dreams gentle. Just listen and relax. And if you ever want to come back here again and again, press subscribe. It will be a wonderful little ritual before bedtime. Today I will tell you about Chugaister. He is called a giant and a spirit, an immortal and slightly eccentric guardian of the Carpathians. He can be stern, but he always remains the one who protects a person in the mountains from dangers and dark temptations. In the mountains, Chugaister is always the one who looks at you first. Not the peak, not the stone, not even the stream. Eyes. Invisible, yet felt just as much as the breath of the wind. The name Chugaister is brittle, like a dry twig underfoot. It rolls down a narrow path between spruces, picked up by the echo, and returned to you, in a stranger's voice. Not much is spoken about him, but one memory is enough. How in the silence of the night a sudden whirlwind rises, and the leaves fly as if scattered cards. They say, that is when he dances. Or another, when in the mountains a thin flute is heard, from which even wolves lower their heads and become quiet, like lambs. Chugaister is neither beast nor man. He is a giant with blue eyes and a gray beard, toothless, somewhat comical, and at the same time terrifying in strength. His task is simple, to be there when a person is far away from home. They say that God created the Chugaisters in his own likeness, strong, wise, and broad as mountain ridges, but with wisdom often comes pride. The giants soon decided they could even argue with God himself, and they argued about everything, about the fish in the river, the trees on the slope, even about whether the mountains deserved reverence. God endured their quarrels for a long while, but at last he punished them, wisely, as he always did, and justly. His punishment was immortality. The giants remained alive, but they were changed. Immortal yet lonely, guardians of the mountains, condemned to atone for their pride. And though the sentence sounded harsh, there was a strange blessing hidden in it. From then on, the Carpathians had their own watchman, one who kept evil spirits from roaming too freely. Chugaister still bears the marks of that ancient race, a height of 2, sometimes 7 meters, thick fur in place of clothes, a gray beard in which, they say, even a sparrow could vanish. His eyes are blue, cold, yet not cruel, calm, like the waters of a mountain lake. And he is toothless, so he eats only the soft, hominy, banish, warm milk. Because of this he lisps a little, but the Hutsuls whisper that this is his charm. For even a giant must carry a weakness. Immortality does not make him dark or dreadful. On the contrary, there is something soothing in him. He was, he is, and he will be, no matter who treads the winding paths of the Carpathians. Chugaister has his little habits, which make him seem less like a giant and more like a kindly, eccentric grandfather. His dearest love is the flute. He can sit for hours by the fire, drawing from it sounds that the human ear hears as music, and the animal's ears as command. The bear stretches out on his paws, the fox creeps closer, and the wolves, forgetting their fierceness, listen meekly. They say even the trees lean in, their crowns stilled, while only the voice of the flute lingers in the night. His second passion is the dance. He spins so swiftly and wildly that the earth itself quivers. Leaves whirl into a storm, stones leap down the slopes. Yet there is no malice in it, only the restless energy of one fated to live forever without rest. For him the dance is both delight and prayer, and he knows how to use his body, as others use their tools. If firewood is needed, he simply detaches his leg, swings it like an axe, and when the work is done, calmly sets it back in place. There is nothing bloody or grotesque in this. To him it is as natural as it is for us to pull off a glove. Chugaister has a special reverence for fire. He loves to sit by the flames, to feed them with logs, to watch the sparks scatter into the dark. The Hutsuls say that in winter he sometimes slips into the chimneys of mountain huts, where he warms himself and hums a song. That is why the wind in the chimney sometimes howls so strangely. It is, they say, Chugaister playing his music. For all his might, he remains a little awkward, a giant who lisps, who loves the flute, who whirls in dance, and who does not hesitate to lend a hand to a wanderer. This is his true nature. Not a fearsome ruler, but a watchman who at times resembles a child. Chugaister and people. Despite his strength and immortality, Chugaister is not walled off from humankind by some unyielding barrier. On the contrary, he lives in a kind of ancient pact with them, a quiet alliance that has endured for centuries. Closest to him are the shepherds. Chugaister respects them, for deep within himself he is much the same, a watchman of the flock, a shepherd of the mountains. When a wolf prowls near the herd, Chugaister may appear and drive the predator away. And when a shepherd falls asleep from exhaustion, the giant calmly tends his goats or sheep as if they were his very own. For this, the shepherds always repay him. They know well, the spirit eats no solid food. So they leave him dishes that need no chewing, a bowl of hominy, steaming bannock, a jug of milk. They place these not in the hut, but at the forest's edge, where he may come and take them unseen. For Chugaister is toothless. Older than the mountains themselves, he long ago lost his teeth. That is why he speaks with a slight lisp, oddly comical for such a mighty being, and there is something deeply human in it. Even an immortal giant has his weakness. The shepherds say, if in the morning the bowl is empty, it means Chugaister has come. That is a good sign. The flocks may be driven onward without fear. They are already under the guard of the mountain sentinel. The woodcutters, too, have their pact with him. When they cook their meals in the mountain huts, they always set aside a generous portion for Chugaister. Not on the table, not on the bench, but high up on the beam, where small animals cannot reach. If in the morning the vessel is empty, everyone rejoices. Chugaister has been here. He has shared their food. And if he has come, no nymph or air spirit would dare to approach. But there is one rule that every man of the forest knows: never leave behind sharp, dangerous cuts of wood. For Chugaister has a merry nature. He loves to leap from stump to stump, from log to log. And should he injure himself on a careless blade of timber, that is an insult. An insulted giant may summon such a storm that the trees fall like matchsticks. Another of his peculiar traits is his wondrous attention to newborns. It is said that when a child is born in a mountain home, Chugaister may peer through the window. He looks at the infant, smiles with his toothless mouth, and grants the child a gift. To one, the kind heart of a healer; to another, the voice of a singer; to a third, the skill of a craftsman. That is why among the Hutsuls there are so many born with natural talents. The elders are certain it is Chugaister, the teacher, who still bestows his gifts upon those born in the mountains. Yet Chugaister is not only a gentle helper, he is also a judge. The wrongdoer, the thief, the one who raises his hand against the weak, he does not forgive. Then the giant may appear in human guise. A simple man in a shirt, outwardly unremarkable. He will lead the guilty deep into the mountains and invite him to dance. And no living soul can endure such a dance. Legs stumble, the heart pounds out of the chest, until the person collapses, drained of all strength. This is Chugaister's verdict. Mavkas. Imagine night in the Carpathians. Mist crawls up from the valleys, smothering the moon. A shepherd sits by the fire, weary, his eyes heavy with sleep, and suddenly, through the whisper of spruces, laughter is heard, light as the bells on the goats' necks. He lifts his head and sees her. Before him stands a maiden. Her hair falls loose upon her shoulders, long, dark, or fair, as each man imagines it. Her eyes are green like grass after rain. Her face, the kind that makes a man willing to abandon everything, his home, his flock, even his life. A Mavka does not frighten, she promises. Her smile is a trap. Her voice is a whisper that finds the key to the heart. To one, it sounds like the love he has long been starved of. To another, like the tenderness he never knew. To a third, like forgiveness. And the man rises. He follows her without a thought. But the path behind a Mavka always leads the same way. The farther he walks, the more the road dissolves. The forest closes its crowns. The mist weaves a veil. The man no longer knows where the fire was, where the slope, where the river. He is led not by reason, but by the Mavka's voice. And then the worst begins. A Mavka does not kill at once. She drinks slowly. She saps strength, drawing the soul sip by sip. The man still walks, still speaks. But he is no longer himself. His eyes are empty, his thoughts blurred. The neighbors will say, the Mavka has taken him. It is for this reason that Chugaister exists. His task is to hunt them and destroy them, to keep a man from falling into arms that seem like paradise, but turn into an abyss. He does not rush blindly. He is patient. He hides in the shadow of spruces in a heap of leaves by a rock. And when the Mavka comes close, when she stretches her hand toward the man, then he seizes her. His embrace is not of tenderness. It closes like iron bands. They say he tears the Mavka apart like dry willow and devours her, leaving not a trace of evil behind. But the Mavkas know the forest better than any hunter. They can slip between trees, dissolve into the wind, leave behind only their laughter. And then Chugaister draws his greatest weapon, the flute. His flute is unlike that of men. Its sound is not merely heard, but felt within the body. It passes through bone, through heart. For humans, it is a melody that awakens tears. For a Mavka, it is a temptation stronger than her own enchantments. The Mavka hears it and cannot resist. She steps out of the thicket, as if from mist, moving toward the sound, bewildered, entranced. To her, the melody seems to promise everything. The love she once whispered to men, tenderness, eternal joy. Chugaister plays and leads her on, through the trees, over the streams, up to the mountain peak, and there, on the edge of the cliff, the music fades, and the Mavka takes her final step. One might think that because of this struggle, the Mavkas would have vanished, but they appear again and again, for they are as much a part of the Carpathians as he is. Two forces, fated to meet forever. Man enters the mountains. The Mavka waits, but Chugaister stands guard. In the villages, stories are still told. They say a shepherd once dozed off by the fire and heard a voice. He had already risen to follow, but suddenly leaves whirled around him. He awoke and saw Chugaister dancing nearby, breaking the spell. And another man returned to his hut one evening and found a maiden at the door, beautiful, smiling, but her eyes glowed strangely. He nearly reached out his hand, and suddenly, from the hearth, the flute began to play. When he turned back, the maiden was gone. The old Hutsuls say, even the Mavkas themselves fear Chugaister. They know that no smile of theirs can sway the one who has seen 100 generations and hears truth where others hear lies. This is the essence. The Mavka, sweet illusion. Chugaister, harsh but honest truth. He does not let the dark allure triumph, and that is why people place a bowl of hominy at the forest's edge, not merely a treat, but gratitude for the balance he keeps in the mountains through the centuries. The Tale of Chugaister and the Twin Sisters. Once upon a time in the Carpathians there lived a Hutsul woman. She was wise and beautiful, a careful mistress of her household. Everything in her life was in order. A spacious home, a farm well kept, a loving husband, even a kind mother-in-law. And yet one thing was missing: children. The years passed. Her peers were already marrying off their sons and daughters, but in her home no sound of children's laughter was ever heard. Still, she stubbornly carried hope in her heart. She prayed with sincerity, sought the help of the Molfars, tried spells and charms, all in vain. One day, an old witch spoke bitter words. "Your jug is empty, my dove. None can help you. None except, perhaps, Chugaister." The phrase sank into the woman's heart like a stone into water, and she resolved to act. One spring evening she dressed herself in her finest holiday clothes and went to the highland meadow, where shepherds sometimes encountered Chugaister. There she lit a great bonfire, so high that the sparks showered into the night, and the glow could be seen from far away. She sat by the fire and waited, for she knew the Chugaisters love and honor flame. It was not even an hour before one of them approached the fire, a giant with a gray beard and blue eyes, a flute in his hands. He played and then invited the woman to dance. But this Hutsul woman was no ordinary one. In dance she felt as free as if life itself spun within her. She knew the ancient rule: whoever can outdance Chugaister may ask for any wish. And they danced long into the night. The meadow trembled beneath them, and the stars above seemed to gaze in wonder. The woman could not surpass Chugaister, yet he was delighted. With a sparkle in his eyes he said, "O fair lady, thank you for this night. It has been long since I danced so swiftly. Tell me, what would you like? Money, clothes, sheep, or horses?" The woman sighed deeply and replied, "I need no gold, no livestock. All this I can earn with my own labor. But if you, good sir, would grant me a child, that would be the greatest treasure of my life." Chugaister thought for a moment, then nodded. "You ask much, lady. Yet I promise to grant any wish. So listen, you shall have 2 daughters. But remember, they will not belong to you alone. They will belong to the whole world, and one without the other will be worth nothing." The woman did not ponder the depth of his words. Her heart filled with joy, and she agreed at once. Time passed, and a miracle occurred. She gave birth to twins, 2 daughters. But the joy did not last long, for one child was born without arms, and the other blind. Then the woman remembered Chugaister's words, "Your daughters cannot live without one another." And she understood. It was true. She loved them all the more, and from the first days taught them to help each other. The girls grew in love and care. In time their parents grew old, no longer strong enough to assist, but the daughters managed well, and they cared for their mother and father too. Everything they did succeeded, at times even better than those who could see and had arms, for they always acted together. One saw the world and told what and how to do. The other had hands and skill to bring the vision to life. And those 2 sisters still live among people. They belong not only to their mother, but to the whole world. For so it was destined. One symbolizes mental labor, the other physical. And without one another, they truly are worth nothing. Thank you for listening to the story to the very end. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It will help Drift to Dream share even more magical tales. I wish you sweet dreams and a peaceful night.